Hello, I'm Nathan. Thanks for checking out my channel. If you enjoy my content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. That way I can continue creating new content for you. If you'd like to support me directly, please consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ndguthrie. The link is on screen and in the description below. Thanks for watching, and now on with the show. Hola, buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? What up, what up? So what I'd like to do for this session today is get into some error handling and some exception stuff. I spent a fair bit of time over the last 2 days cleaning up the delete functionality, and you can check that out on the GitHub repository for each of these parts of the series if you like. I would be happy for any feedback you want to provide, any commentary on the code, anything you want to talk about. I'm happy to listen and improve my coding skills, because this is a learning experience for me too. So with that, we'll just jump right in. So here is our PyMongo CRUD example, and this is what we've been working on. And over here I will show what I did. I think it was last Saturday. Well, it was a week ago, Saturday. So like last week, I have built out some extra files, and one of them is input validation, and this contains some functionality for validating the input. So these are some auxiliary functions that I'm building out. And the other is the file exceptions.py, which I have built to create custom exception classes that I can call whenever I want to raise a particular exception. And so this might not take as long as I had originally thought, so we'll just jump right in. So what happens? Well, I want to show the problem. So we'll go over to what we have here. So clear, and we'll do the application run like so. So suppose we want to read the post, and suppose we want to, we have an input here, but we screw up the first name or the selection. So then, well, that actually works because I've done the if-else statement, but I should actually transition that over, because this provides no explanation for what's going wrong. It provides no input, no response to the user for why this is bad. So the user doesn't know what to improve on. So we'll do a read post. I think the author, let's try, let's suppose we just want to make a garbage name. And what I want to do as a programmer is not allow the user to have spaces in the first name. I just want one block of text. All right, so suppose, we do our garbage in there like that, or, you have problems with code injection, all that kind of fun stuff. So you might want to limit the input of the user to your application. So if I do that, see, then we crash. And it just tells us where it crashed, doesn't tell anything why. So what I'd like to do is address that, and to do so, we have to, let's go back to create post. Let me do that. I'll do our, we'll try to create another post. So if I create the post, there, see it, and see if this actually works. Blah, 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 blah. So that actually worked, but here's the interesting thing. See, we've got spaces in there. That actually works. Apparently, I mean, you can, Python does not split this up based on the spaces. You can, but all I'm doing is taking in that input as one long character array, a string. I'm just treating it as a string. That's it. You don't want to do that because, I mean, do you want to have to sort through this garbage, whenever you are trying to search through your database application? Probably not. So let's exit, and I want to start restricting what the user can input. So suppose, for mine, what I did was to say, okay, I want my input to be more than 0, so it can't be blank. We have to have a username. First name can't be blank, but it can't be more than 40 characters. All right, that's an arbitrary number. If you have people whose names are longer than that, sure, you can change that. I figure 40 characters, that's probably enough. So we want to validate the name, all right? I don't want there to be a space in the name itself. I just want a block of text. And then I do a check to see if, hey, is the first letter capitalized? Because we want some form of decorum. Maybe you want, if you're doing something like, say, like a bank or a teller application, you want the first letter capitalized. You want to do these checks. So you want to check if it's capitalized. So let's pop over to this site. Just something I found. I'll provide a link in the description. Here's a reference for how to write your custom exceptions. So you have to define a class, your own constructor, in order to build the exception. So I think the most helpful one for me, let me see, I think it was closer to the bottom. Customizing exception classes. Here we go. This is kind of the template that worked for me, that I used and that I learned from for implementing some of my own exceptions. So how about we start with some coding. We'll create these other files, and this one was input validation. Hi. Create another one, and this was exceptions.py. So trying to decide, do I want to build out the input validation? We'll go that way first. We'll build out that way first. I've been experimenting with some try-catch blocks because I haven't actually used them that much in coding. I wasn't taught that very much, so this is something that I want to try. It's used a lot, again, in the error catching type of coding. So yeah, of course you can do an if statement, but there starts to be another layer that you can use, just something else for your toolbox. So this is something of an experiment that I've been working on myself to increase my own knowledge and my own understanding. So let's I'll start with this. So it doesn't look like I'm using isAlpha, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to import these because I was checking to see if the line was alpha, just characters, but I thought, well, maybe there's a hyphen or something, maybe there's another character in there, whatever. So maybe it's alphanumeric. So you can mix and match, and you can decide how strict you want to be with your input. So we'll go over here, do the input validation. Yeah, drop that in there. I'm gonna start this way. I like my function headers, my blocks. It really helps me to the comments, just seeing the comments highlighted differently. It's just a nice visual cue to me that says, okay, function. And it's kind of nice because it just breaks up the monotony of reading the code. So I'll go ahead, I'll drop that in here. So we're going to validate the name, def validate name. Let's see if we have any inputs. I think we're going to have a couple. Yeah, just one. So we're going to have an input because it's going to be a string, right? So what do we say? If input is, we need to do len input is, I think that's greater than 0. Oh, we need our try catch block. Try. So we want to try this, and if it doesn't work, we raise an exception. Try if len is greater than 0. Sure. So that means it's okay. So eventually we're going to get through these things. These are the conditions that we want. And then if, I'll put my else block in there. Else, blah, blah, blah. I need a raise. I think I need a raise exception. Let's see, and we'll get to that too. Try. No, I need my except clause. Except. Try that. So in the else blocks, we're going to raise the exception, but I have to create the exceptions as well. So you kind of stair step as you build out your application, as you build out all your code. So I'm just going to start with this if len input. So I'm going to do my checks is less than 41. We're okay. Else. And if, what else did we want? Contains space or is space. If input, I think it's dot is space. Yeah, there we go. See what I like to, I don't know these, I don't know, it helps me also. Don't necessarily have to do this, it's just something that helps me. Don't have to put parentheses around your conditions, but I like to just, again, that's just something that helps me. Is space. Right, so if there's not a space, then it's okay. But if there is a space, we have to raise an exception. The isSpace method in Python, the string library, checks your string to see if there is a space character in the string. So that's really, really kind of nice. So if is space, else, raise an exception. I should say if not. So this is where sometimes having the nested parenthesis might be helpful. I guess it doesn't really matter if you want to put your parenthesis over here. Logically, it shouldn't matter. The Python interpreter is pretty sophisticated since they've been working on it for probably 25 or 30 years now. Something like that. Yeah, Python's been around for more than 20 years. I know that. I first touched on Python. I remember my first introduction to it was in 2006. I was a senior and I was taking a class, and it was called Programming Languages, and Python was one of the languages that we touched on. We just did some simple basic stuff with it. So we have if not is space, then we have to check to see if it's capital. So is upper, if input is upper, yeah. And then after all that, we're okay. This is where we validated the input. So if all these conditions are met, the input's okay. So I'm going to return true. And I guess, I mean, you can import, I'm just doing this with a string right now, but I've been experimenting with that a little bit because in some of the other stuff that I can go into with some of the delete functionality that I was working on, I was actually returning strings to tell the calling function, okay, I'm calling from the update function, so I put updates in quotes. I'm calling from the read function, put reads in quotes. I'm calling from the delete function, I put delete in quotes. So I want you to just read it, I want you to update it, or I want you to delete it. So you have a few more options than just a Boolean. which is kind of nice. But I like programming with booleans, because that's another kind of nice thing. Because if you were to say, suppose you had some kind of function in here, say temp equals my new function, and you pass some kind of input to that. So if my new function returns true or false, then you have a conditional. So then you can say if temp blah blah blah, but if not temp. So based on what the function returns, you can either proceed down one way or proceed down another way. So it's kind of nice. I mean, when you have that fork in the road where you can actually force a binary decisions, but sometimes maybe you don't want to do that. It just depends on what you need to do. Let's see, so return true, so we're good. Otherwise, in here, I'm going to raise my capital, except my needs capitalization exception. Raise, let's see what I call it over here. Exceptions dot name not capitalized error. There we go. Raise exceptions dot name not capitalized error. Input, or is it just I need input? I do for input here, and that's going to be a problem because that doesn't exist yet, but that's okay. We'll fix that here in a minute. Raise exceptions dot, and this one is contains space error. Contains space error. Name contains space error. Name. I mean, it's kind of a nice thing about modern programming environments, really, is, I mean, and it's kind of a difference, and I spend 1 minute, go off on a tangent here. One difference that I've seen between MATLAB programming and this part, yes, I just used the word MATLAB. Yes, I did. Is that I mean, it's great and all, but so many times I've looked through some MATLAB code. I'm not a MATLAB guy, all right. Not my favorite thing. But you'll see these functions like capital F, and that's it. That's all you got. You don't have any description of what the heck is going on with this code. It's just like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening. So, I mean, you'll see these variables in there, just like some of these engineers will just put them. Okay, all right. Okay, I guess I'll just spend 3 days tracing through this spaghetti code. It's like, okay, so me, I mean, I was a math guy, I'm a computer science guy, I've had some engineering training. I mean, this is just kind of how I do it. I like to be able to be descriptive. All right, so that's just one thing I try to do, because again, something else I picked up a long time ago is, you shouldn't have to read comments to figure out the code. The code should tell you what it is doing. You should be able to read the code and have the code tell you what it's doing. So it's nice that, I try to make some descriptive function names and descriptive variable names. Okay, this is what this does. All right. End rant. So in this case, we're going to raise a name, raise exceptions dot name to long error. Oh my God, I'm having way too much fun. Let's see here. Is that what I called it over here? Name too many characters. There we go. Name too many characters. Too many characters there. And then down here in the next one, we have to raise exceptions that name to few characters error input. All right, cool. Except, let's see, how do we how did I do this over here? You have to print the error. So we're going to print, this is a call to the process or the function that just happened. I'm learning some of this too because I'm learning how Python works, to be honest with you. But this is the system call. This is the call to the error stack, if you will, or the error queue. Whatever this returned, if there is an exception, if one of these exceptions is raised, boom, it goes here. So it tries and tries until it gets to return true. But if it doesn't get there, then one of these exceptions is raised, else one of these exceptions is raised. So then on the raising of the exception, it goes to the except, so that you handle the exception. You tell it how to contain the collateral damage of the error. So that's kind of the mindset that I'm trying to get into here. So at this point, all I want to do is print it. I'm just going to print, hey, this, this error happened. So this error, the error, so we'll do a print. Need this, need that. The error, blah, 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 comma, syst, exception info. Exception info 0. I think that's the most recent one. Yeah, exec info. I need my parenthesis there because that's probably a function. And then occurred. So I want to return false because I want to get out of this thing. Or not. You may or may not need to return anything again in Python. It's pretty flexible. So let me see. I need to write these errors up in the exceptions.py. So now, before I get out of this, there are more. Let's see, what did because I validate the post title, I validate the post body, I validate, and I have a master function, if you will, a control function, and I might, so that I can say, okay, just validate this input, because that's what I'm doing over here. See, so that whenever I'm programming my stuff, all right, I can just say, oh, validate. I don't have to think about validate first name, validate last name, validate the post title. I don't have to think about any of that in my application. So you see, I'm kind of building a library. That's kind of the mindset that I'm trying to use here. I'm trying to build this library function, this accessory function, these functions in the input validation, so that I can just say validate this. So if I go up to what I've got in create post, so you can see this is what I worked on last week, and let me go up to this one. Oh, that one. There we go. And here is create post. All right. So this is the step forward that I did, and here's where we are now with our process of building this again. So something else. Hey, here we go. Let's go here. Let's do. This might actually be exactly what I need. This is called meld. This is a diff type of tool. So here we go. Yeah. This is a diff type of tool. There is the diff from the command line, but it's handy to see these things side by side. So here is what we have right now, and this is what we're going for. So we'll work through all this. So I'll look at this side by side. So this is kind of nice. So here's how we're doing it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the author first name, same way as usual. And I'm just going to call this function validate. See, I validate first name, that's it. And then it returns true or false. So there's one of those instances where I'm returning a Boolean, all right? So if result is false, print error occurred, post not successful. And then I just do that for each of these. So yeah, let's just run with that. What I do need is my master control function for the logic here. This is really straightforward, I believe. So if the type of validation is a name, so see, you can use the name for the first and last name, and if you want to put a middle name in there, you can do that. First, last, middle name, boom, you're done. You know, so you can use the same thing in different instances. So I'm just going to drag and drop. So for now, since I'm going to focus on just the name, I'm just going to do this. All right. This is like one of the simplest functions you can write. You can see it on the screen there. So I'll come over to our input validation right here. Need to do that. Need to do that. This goes here. That goes there. Okay. Cool. So here's our validate. This one is validate name. Fine. So this is a bare bones validation scheme for what we've got going on here. For our user input component of create post. And we can use this on other places in the user input where the user's got to input other things, like in the update or the delete. So now we finally get to write our own exception codes. So let me double check, and the sun is kind of funky. One moment. Maybe I can fix these shades, and hopefully that will just chill out. There we go. All right. So let's go over here where I've written this up. I'll just start with this one. So I'm not going to go into all of the details of functions. I will give a quick overview. This is a class. I'm not going to explain object-oriented programming. This is our constructor. These are the initialization parameters that we want to use. So it's calling itself. It's saying, okay, set up yourself in the input, and that we're passing in, and that's what I'm calling over here. All right, that actually here. Okay, whenever I raise the name not capitalized, see, I'm missing one. Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. Here's our validate name. So name not capitalized. So we'll work with that. So this is the name not capitalized. And again, this is kind of following the format of the folks over here at, I guess it's Program Is, and feel free to check them out. And if you like what they do better, run with that. I found them by searching, and I found a couple of things, and like I said, this is just the one that made some of the most sense to me. It was helpful to me, so feel free to, and if you want to do it differently, you know, write your own exceptions, run with that, find something that works for you, you know. But this was kind of nice. It was pretty simple. It was pretty straightforward. I don't know them or anything. I just found them on search. So this is old school. I'm old school, right? You know, if you build it, if you build it, it will work, hopefully. So we also want to initialize this with a message. So you want to say, okay, name's not valid input. This is our exception message. We know, okay, this effed up. This is garbage. All right. If we get here, you done effed up a long time ago, as Eddie Bravo would say. So, you know, this is bad. All right. So we initialize it with a message because the only purpose of this exception is to print out this message. At this point, that's it. It can do other stuff if we build it to, but right now I just want to print the message. So we're going to do that. So I think Yeah, fine. I'll just code it up. So we're here. I'm gonna take my function header, run like that. Define name, not capitalized. Error. And we have input, so that's going to go there. So here are our comments. So using these comments, the exception is raised. Come back here, edit that. Our attributes. This is kind of what I do up here. I haven't decided how I want to comment all that yet. So what? Run with it. Do that. We're defining our constructor. There we go. Self name, age. What the heck is that? That was an autofill. We don't want that, but that's fine. I can fix it. Instead, we want input and message. So this one's going to be message. This one's going to be message. This one's going to be input. This one's going to be input. I'm trying to keep. I was trying to keep this below half an hour, but oh well. So we'll get there soon enough. I think we're almost done, to be honest with you, because this is all the more I'm going to cover. Because the rest of these are just kind of carbon copies and with a few tweaks. So we'll go ahead and copy this over. The name is not valid. I'll just write it. F it. The name is not valid input. Message equals. Let's do it this way. That's pretty cool. You can actually define the. So it's defining. We're initializing a variable and we're assigning a string to that variable, and we're passing that variable to the init function all at the same time. Man, there's a lot of crap going on there. This is driving the C++ part of my brain nuts right now, because interpreted language. So it's really nice. It's really nice syntactic sugar when you don't have to do all this extra stuff yourself. And like I said, I mean, Python's gotten pretty sophisticated over 20 some odd years or 30 years of existing. The first letter is not capitalized. All right, there's that. Got that. And so we do super. We got super class, the super object, the calling object. I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to do some research on that and figure out exactly what that means. Is it? No, it's init. Super dot init, I think. Yes. So initialize itself with a message. Self.message. There we go. So what did I type wrong? Why is that an error? What am I missing? What did I miss? What did I miss? Go over here. Maybe. Not seeing it. What did I do? I know what it was. Duh. I'm an idiot. There we go. Failed the class. So, okay. What the heck is from email import message? Where did that come from? Why did that? Oh. Okay, that's where message came from. Okay, so that is definitely not needed. There like that. And now it looks like that. Awesome. I think we've got winner, winner, chicken dinner. Yes. This name is not valid. This name is, there we go, valid. Oh, I need an exception right here. There we go. So it knows it's an exception. Okay. Cool. Right. So now what we got to do, we got to import these files into our main application. That's ours, that we built. So that goes over to here. So for this, bear with me, we are almost done. So we're going to do up here from input validation, import validate, I believe. That should do it. That should do it. Import validate. So we're going to save that. Do I need to validate exceptions? I already did. Okay, so we should already be, this should already, try, there we go. Okay. See, since these are in the same directory, all I got to do is call import exceptions, and it finds exceptions over here and imports it into input validation. So that's kind of nice. So now we can go over to, come on, where did we go here? There we go. So we go to our create posts. I'm gonna do, how did I do this? Result equals validate author first name. Did I think validate just requires one input. Oh, and it's a type, because I have to specify whether it's a name or a title or etc. So this is a name. And if result, let's see how to do it over here. If result equal false, error occurred, post not successful, return. There we go. If result print error occurred, post not successful, and then we just return. That's it. So that's all I'm going to do for right now. Hopefully this will just take, this will work on just the first name. So let's do that. I think input validation is okay. That should have, yep, that's what I did over here. So yeah, we're ready to test. So let's run up here. Hopefully this works. Okay, good. It still loads. Haven't broken it yet. So that's good. So we want to create a post. So we'll try the author first name. Okay, so I'm going to try, how about, so, well, first, before I input this, well, what should this do? What I'm trying to test is the capitalization. All right, so actually, let me just take even one step back from that. Our first is just checking to see if there's anything there. So if nothing is there, then it should, oh, wait. Which one did I implement though? Which exception? Name not capitalized. So I have to check that one because nothing else exists. So we'll do the name not capitalized. So yeah, we need to go with that. So boom. Cool. Hopefully pretty much kind of sort of as expected. So that's pretty cool, really. I mean, to say, okay, this was the hypothesis that we knew it was going to break, and then it actually broke like we thought it was going to break. That's good. That's really good. So it was a controlled crash, if you will. And yeah, so that's that's primarily what I wanted to share today. That was the big thing for this session, because I was doing a lot of that last week about this time. And yeah, let me know what you think. If you want me to cover other stuff, if you want me to look into stuff, I am all about learning what I can, and I like I like demonstrating these sorts of concepts, and I learn with these sorts of tutorials. So hopefully, maybe this will help somebody out there kind of pick up something. Maybe maybe you pick up a little something that you didn't know before. Maybe you go off and you search, and you find something else that you didn't know. Maybe if not here, then maybe this inspires you to search and find something else, and keep learning. So yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time, peace out.